Well, actually, I did not even need to envision this idea because what happened is that I was traveling to France a great deal at the time, and I was helping people get in touch with one another. And one of these people was Claude Terrail of La Tour d'Argent, who was hoping to develop some public relation for the restaurant by bringing some of his products here. And the first person who was interested was Giorgio De Luca. I put them in touch, and the story started there. Giorgio De Luca bought some of those products, and we needed to have other people buy them also to make it worth importing. And Giorgio De Luca wanted other products from France. And little by little, I had no idea I was starting a company, but I was. Well, for selection from France up to now, I have been the primary selector. I'm in France on a regular basis, and the beautiful thing with France is that when you're working with one person, France is small but so diversified, so rich, that anybody that I deal with tells me, by the way, I know somebody who does this beautifully, etc. So of course there are the international shows where you meet a lot of people, but a lot of it is word of mouth and tasting, and we are very demanding in the quality of the products that we select. But in France, the choice is vast. Well, I think the strength is the products themselves, because the products are wonderful. The weakness, I would say, it's the difficulty, which is not really a weakness, but it is a handicap of sort, is because the regulations in Europe and in the United States do not coincide, although it's not that it's necessarily stricter on one side or the other, but all it matters is that it's not exactly the same. It therefore means that you cannot export products from France as they are sold in France. That's the difficulty. And the more it can be unified between the governments and between the regions, the simpler it will be to bring many more products from France. So that's something, but the products themselves, the diversity, the know-how, there are a very, very large number of companies in France, from the small artisanal companies to the PME, as we call them in French, the small and medium companies, to even industrial companies that work with really artisanal standards, recipes, etc. So they're very fine products to be had from France. There are great French products in all the regions. I can think of jams from Grenoble, which is just at the foot of the Alps, to nougat in Montélimar, to sardines from Brittany, from Venidec, to the wonderful little Enaf pâtés, to Locmaria, also in Brittany, and on, chicory from the northern part of France for many years. So every area of France is rich in food, in the food industry. Well, this year, one thing that I was struck by doing the show, we are also exhibitors at the show, one thing that I was struck by when it comes to France is that the French pavilion was larger this year than it has been in the past, and there was a presence both on the main floor and even some companies on the lower floor. So that means that the French are really making a great effort to come to the United States and to try to develop their markets. And I think that is a very good trend, because you have more of an impact if there are a lot of products, and if the category is larger, it is better. There are a lot of, for instance, Italian products in the United States, and some of them could be called repetitive in a way, but they all reinforce each other. And I think France can do that to even a larger extent than it ever has before. So I'm delighted to see a much larger section of French companies coming to the United States, and I hope that that is a trend that is really going to continue.